what's up and why, bringing you the bright side of life one fun moment at a time. Brought to you by the New Thought Media Network. Please put your hands together for your hosts, Rev Casey Taylor and Miss B Lovely.
Yes, clap for us, clap for us. I just love the beat on that intro song. Like, it's just, I was like, okay, I'm feeling it, especially since I've been listening to some new music that's been motivating me. What's up, Rev Casey Taylor? And thank you guys for joining us for another episode. How you be?
Me and our producer Clarissa were talking about the word she used was emotional roller coaster, and I'm gonna take it. And it's not lifing. It is a pure, for me, just speaking for myself, not our producer in any way. Speaking for me, it is a pure personal thing that I'm doing a lot of learning and growing and getting a whole lot of clarity all at once. And the best part about it for me is this best day ever mantra that I live by means that I get to recognize shadow work for what it was. And as I was taking a walk this morning through my neighborhood and looking at the Halloween decorations, I was like, this is the season for doing shadow work. This is what all of these ghosts hanging on the trees in the neighborhood represent, is doing shadow work. This is what happens in this season in the calendar. So the fact that my heart is in line with the earth, this is a new experience for me, honestly. Like being I think a professional minister got me to this place where I am kind of in tune and in line with the earth. And the shadow stuff is never fun, but it's important. And I'm grateful to see its importance and its relevance and to be doing the work and living the results.
I love that. I love that. And when you were talking about how, this is the season really where you need to be doing that shadow work, I kind of resonate with that because this is my second favorite season after summer, but I always feel like because my birthday's in the fall and Scorpio season just started yesterday. Shout out to all the Scorpios, November Scorpios. But for me, I've always felt like during this season when it's transitioning into Scorpio season in the fall, coming up on Halloween and stuff, and like the sun is going down quicker and everything, I just feel like I tap into this other side of myself. I always call it like, okay, this is my dark Scorpio season because I just feel more intense with my feelings and emotions and everything that goes on with me. Like, our we were just talking, our producer was talking about how feeling like she was going through an emotional roller coaster. I resonate with that because yesterday definitely was a big emotional roller coaster for me. And I had to really like look into myself, take some time and to go into nature and like look into myself and be like, okay, where's this coming from? Let's do the work. Let's, go into the toolkit, what I call it. And like, do you need to do affirmations? Do you need a journal? Do you need to meditate? Do you need to do some breathing? And it's really good that, it's important to be able to recognize those things and know what works for you to help you through those type of, emotional ups and downs and stuff. Because our feelings are always fluctuating as humans.
They sure are. And I have mad respect for you as a Christian who is willing to look at the astrology of it all. I find that people are like one or the other. It's either this is all I believe and Christianity is not my thing, or a lot of Christians believe that that astrology is like the work of the devil. And I'm in this place like right now where I love that we're highlighting Mariah's song "Jesus I Do" because I'm reading the Bible for the very first time with my uncle. And I mentioned how this emotional roller coaster that I'm going through, he spoke to something similar to that. And I said, according to Tasha, who has been a co-host of What's Up and Why before, she is a astrology aficionado. She was saying that we've really been in it energetically and that today is the apex. And I was like, well, that makes absolute sense. Our producer Clarissa said, I hope it is the apex. I mean, based off of this emotional roller coaster I feel like we're feeling. But being able to recognize, like you talked about your toolbox, you've got your affirmations, you've got your prayer, you've got meditation, walks in nature, not being afraid of looking at spiritual modalities, I think I just have an incredible amount of respect for you for how interfaith accepting that you are.
Thank you. I find Okay, so I just want to break it down for me. It was always a turnoff for me because I grew up in a church. My grandfather was a pastor, grandma first lady. We were expected to like always heavily be in a church. Deep South Virginia. Okay, so you already know what type of lifestyle that was. And I found that a lot of Christians are very closed-minded. But for me, I've always been a lifelong learner. I want to know the why behind things. So astrology, I was always curious about. Now, do I believe like all the little like your daily horoscope things and follow that? Like some things I'd be like, oh, this is interesting. It kind of rings true to what I'm going through. But I've also like have realized, that yes, my faith, my spirituality is important, but I also can recognize that, as human beings living on this earth where, energy is what, helps everything flow. And like, we are all sources of energy. Our different energies can you can for me, I always feel like I can feel somebody's energy. I can feel when somebody doesn't like me. I can feel when somebody is holding back or doing something. Like I can just feel it and sense it. And it's because like, as human beings, like with our hormones and everything that makes up the earth, we do have like there's this cosmetic thing that's going on. And I can't really explain it, but the research is there. But
Cosmic, yes.
yeah, I've never really like
Yeah.
just like I've never been the Christian that was like, oh, Halloween is of the devil and stuff. And I'm like, I didn't see anything in the Bible that said specifically Halloween. Now I know it does go against witchcraft, but it's like the way how I practice it, it's not about witchcraft. It's about watching some fun Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger slasher type films, getting some candy, dressing up as my favorite cartoon or something, and just having fun and enjoying like, just the spookiness, nothing demonic. I just think that sometimes when people choose to be closed-minded, they choose to look at things from a different perspective, a negative perspective.
Yes, I appreciate especially that you brought up witchcraft in the Bible after having just hosted Witch Fest at our spiritual center. And I've been talking about how I've just recently learned that the word ritual is triggering to people, that they associate it with something like witchcraft. When I
Yes.
like, to me, what a ritual is that it's a habit, like it's a sacred practice that you do this thing, this sacred practice to represent this thing. But what I feel like as I'm going through my own personal read through of the Bible, I haven't come across the witchcraft thing yet. But what I've been noticing about perspectives that people have about what witchcraft is, it seems to be this belief that you are utilizing the energy of the universe to make something happen. And as I think about that, like me personally, like what drew me to science of mind, what drew me to the law of attraction was utilizing energy to create a reality, to create this best day ever energy in my life. And the lessons, one of the big lessons that I've learned from this emotional roller coaster I've been on this week is how my habits of control and my temptations to control, that's actually the thing that I think the Bible was advocating against. The use of these sacred practices for the purposes of making something happen, as opposed to the purpose of the sacred practice to connect you more deeply with your understanding of the divine, to hear
Now, what do you
spirit.
mean by that? Like, break that down a little bit more.
I sure will. I sure will. So like, let's use prayer as an example, right? Like, what people think of typically as prayer is a conscious connection, a conversation with God, so to speak. What prayer would look like in my interpretation of what the Bible is trying to say about witchcraft, what that prayer would look like is a spell of the purpose of the prayer is making something happen. I am praying to God to make something happen, as opposed to if the purpose of the prayer was to consciously connect with God, to hear what it is that God is attempting to communicate to me, whatever the situation is or whatever it is, recognizing that the purpose of the prayer is to listen as opposed to will the universe to do my bidding. That's what I think it's about. I think it's about control versus listening to spirit and allowing yourself to be guided by spirit.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you say to the person who believes in, manifestation? Like, if I think it will be.
That's exactly what I'm saying. That's what drew me to that. This is what New Thought Media is all about. Like manifestation, this network teaches this concept. And I'm not, I'm not calling this concept evil by any means. Like I
No,
teach it
no.
too. Like, what I'm saying about it is that who I am, what drew me to the concept of the law of attraction of was making something happen. I have throughout my life had some very specific ideas around what my life should look like and what the country should look like. Like you and I have talked about these kinds of things on the show of what's happening with immigration in this country. There are a lot of things going on politically, people potentially losing their SNAP benefits at the end of the month. There are a lot of things going on politically that I don't like. And that part of me, that when there is something going on in the world that I don't like, there's a part of me that wants to control it, that wants to fix it, that wants to use this platform to inspire people to vote the way that I think they should, or my experience of prayer to be around changing the world that the way that I think it should be. And I am coming to an understanding. My personal emotional roller coaster has brought me to this understanding that for me, that quality of control is purely toxic. And what is the spiritual truth of this situation, of the situation that we're in, of the immigration situation, of SNAP benefits ending at the end of the month, or maybe not, we'll see what happens, is that each person is on their own perfect divine path. It is not for me to say it should be different, things should be different. The way that things are going is a divine path. And for me to criticize it, for me to actively work to control it, for me to judge it, is not living in alignment with spirituality. It's fighting
Yeah,
against
yeah.
the rest of us.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I know, like, for me, my understanding of the Bible, my personal relationship with God is like I believe in the power of manifestation. You are the energy what you put out, but then I also believe in the fact that in the Bible, God has said there will be trouble, there will be, hardships in life, but take heart. I have defeated the world. And when you put your faith in him, I'm speaking from the Christian perspective. When you put your faith in Christ and trust in him, based off his word, he says, like, he will always protect, he will always provide. There will be trouble, there will be trials and tribulations, there will not be a perfect smooth sailing problem free life. You will have some sufferings, but I will take care of you. Because he always, like, there's certain, I don't know if you've gotten to this part yet, there's parts of in the Bible where he says, look at the birds, look at the flowers, look at the animals. They don't worry about where their food is coming from, how they're going to make it to the next day. I think more highly of you than these animals. You will be taken care of as long as you believe in me and abide by my word. And that is what has helped me through so much. Because even that, and going, also using the gifts that God has blessed doctors with, like taking care of mental health and stuff. Because there's some Christians who think that you could just pray certain things away. You cannot pray any type of, like, if you're going through, I'm speaking from my own personal experience, because, like, I go to therapy because I believe in, if you have to work your physical body and exercise to be well, you also have to take care of your mental health, which controls every aspect of your body. And so, yes, there is having faith, but then also taking care of yourself, which kind of gets us into our next topic. Rapper Gucci Mane just released his new book called Episodes. He talks about his bouts with his mental health, because on the outside you see the glitz and the glam. Him married to his wife Keisha Kayor. People who are fans of them know, like, they are like one of these big rap couples, look very beautiful, always stunting, styling, and profiling, very well known and popular. But this new book sheds light on, like, yeah, you guys see the glitz, the glam, the flame, but behind the scenes, I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And my wife was basically trying to figure out, how can we get me to be in a healthy place? So they talked about um, her, how it impacted her, and how she basically was like, I love this man, I want to take care of him, and I'm going to help you get the help. So she talks about how she had to basically kidnap him and take him to go finally get help at an institution. He finally went to therapy, talked about his feelings, how trauma triggered some of his schizophrenic episodes and his bipolar episodes. And he talked about the importance of recognizing when you need help, not being ashamed, removing the stigma, getting medication, going to therapy daily, and taking care of your mental health, and how his life is better now for both him, his wife, and his kids, because he recognized your mental health is something you really have to take care of. And you can't just say, I'll pray it away. I'll take drugs to get it away. I'll drink to get it away. I had to really take care of it. And that book really, really, really resonated with me.
It's beautiful that that's a success story. I was thinking about how many people have tried something like that, whose spouse are going through some really significant mental health challenges, and they make an effort to force them into getting help, and they're not ready. And it creates this sense of resentment among
Yes.
that marriage, and that person doesn't get the help that they need. Well, now they also have resentment in their marriage. So it's really beautiful that Gucci Mane was able to recognize that his wife loves him and that she did this for him. And that he was not only able to move through his own healing journey, but share it with the world, to really stand in the value of mental health care.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good for Gucci Mane. I love
Yeah.
that.
And
You
as
it
and
on.
I just want to add, like, as someone who like has a loved one who like deals with, mental health issues, Keisha talked about how during his times when he would have his episodes and he would like have out of body experiences, talk to her like it wasn't her. I was listening to a couple of her interviews, and she said she realized in that moment, this isn't him. This is the mental illness. Don't take it personal. Let's work on helping him to get back to his, to his center. And that really helped me because, as dealing with a loved one who has that, like it's sad and it's hard sometimes, trying to figure out, how can I talk to this person and let this person know, like, I'm not a threat while they're going through their mental health episodes. So I'm glad that this man who's very influential, especially in the Black community where there is a stigma, a negative stigma about talking about your mental health, hearing voices and wanting to get help. I'm glad that he is like breaking down that stigma and opening the door to talk about that and can potentially help other people, not just who are dealing with mental health issues, but those who have loved ones, because that also takes a toll on a loved one watching them go through it.
I hear that. Um, in addition to Mariah's song "Jesus I Do," I've been getting a lot of mental health support by listening to Jesse Powers' new music. She's
Um,
got a song called "Let the Light Come Through," and our global Centers for Spiritual Living global theme this week was inner illumination. So that song, Let the Light Come Through, really came to my mind. So I for this episode, I am giving my reverence to Jesse Powers. I've been listening to this song on repeat. I took a ride along around Lake Overholser, and during like my fourth listen of the song, I felt inspired to call her and say, "Hey, like this song has had a huge impact on me. I would love to." Well, like I just told her about what she knows, she's read some things about what I got going on online, but having an opportunity to catch up with her, and it means so much to me to be able to give reverence to someone whose music touches me so significantly, but to also call her directly and be like, "Hey, like this song is directly supporting me and my mental health right now."
oh, that's awesome. Oh, and there's the album cover. Thank you, Clarissa. And is that streaming like on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube? Like where can
Let
people
the
go
Light
to
Come
like
Through
listen
is
to it?
streaming on Let the Light Come Through is streaming on all things, and the that new EP, that was what Clarissa popped up there. Her new EP, Inside You. The that EP is like the darkest things I've ever heard Jesse Powers do. Which I
Wow.
love that like as we're talking about the shadow side, like this is Inside You is like Jesse's shadow album, and she's been very transparent about that too. So like I said, getting an opportunity to learn about her healing journey from her directly and through her being a songwriter, it's just been really powerful for me.
Mhm. I think this is the is the era the word that I want to use? This is the time where everybody is kind of like digging into that, that shadow dark side, because there is a lot of stuff that is like happening in this country right now that people are dealing with. And this is going to lead us into our next segment, Do Better Blues. I've been sitting with this topic for a while now. I came across this article that talks about how to let go of grudges and the effects that grudges has not just on your mental health but on your physical body. Did you know that holding a grudge, holding anger towards someone or a situation, can cause chronic illness, diseases, may even potentially lead to certain type of cancers? I did not know that. And when I came across the study, I thought, wow, they have this line in here when it says holding a grudge against someone is like pouring gasoline on yourself and setting yourself on fire and expecting the other person to die of smoke inhalation. And I see a lot of things on threads where people talk about, like, do you ever think about a situation where someone has wronged you and you feel angered again? And, I get triggered by that. And I think of situations where I know that I was wronged and I was hurt. And even though I would tell myself, oh, I've forgiven them, if I ever came into contact with them, there would be like the tensing of, my body will feel tense. I wouldn't feel like I could be my real self. I feel like I want to there's anger and stuff there. And for a long time I've been thinking about, like, how do you let go of a situation where you feel like you were in the right and you were wronged? And this article really, really helped me to put things into perspective and realize, like, forgiveness is all about you. It is not about the other person, because sometimes you're not going to get that apology. Sometimes the person isn't going to see things from your point of view. Sometimes you are going to be the villain in someone's story. Sometimes the good guy isn't going to win. But you can't hold on to grudges, because grudges robs you of being able to live your life authentically, of being able to connect with other people, of being able to move forward and be present and to enjoy the new things that happens in life, because you're still stuck in the past in that situation and feeling like, you know, I need to be vindicated and all that stuff. And time still goes by, and, you're missing out on life. You're ending up, with inflammation in your body and chronic diseases, because holding on to grudges and anger, your body ends up releasing more cortisol hormone, which is your body's flight or fight response, causes more inflammation on your body. If you have long-term inflammation, that leads to health issues. I didn't know that not forgiving somebody and holding on to a grudge could do that to you. And so for today, I wanted to just implore anyone, because I had to check myself. You got to let go of grudges. Sometimes things aren't going to go your way. It's not going to be all perfect, but you cannot hold things against other people, because they're still going to live their life. They're still going to be fine. They ain't thinking about it, and you're still in the past. And it does not do you any service. But I will admit, it is hard. But this article helped me to be more introspective and say, girl, you got to let it go.
I thought of myself as somebody that didn't hold grudges, that when somebody wronged me, that I forgave them and moved forward.
Yeah.
And in reality, what I did was called myself forgiving them, and then held that resentment over their head. Continue to be in their life and hold the resentment over their head. Never let them forget that they did ABC, whatever it is,
Yes.
over and over and over again. And I didn't recognize that, like, this is me going back to control. I'm telling you, I've learned all the lessons this week. I didn't recognize how I wasn't taking responsibility for the fact that I did that. And I didn't recognize that, for me, it wasn't health issues so much as repeating patterns, right? Like, this is what we're talking about with the law of attraction. I think we like to glorify the idea of using it for the purposes of getting the things that you want. But the reality is that your life being a reflection of your beliefs means that the things that you don't like in your life are things that you attracted to yourself. So
Oh,
even if you make this decision like, okay, this person's super toxic, I'm going to get them out of my life, that kind of toxic person is going to keep gravitating towards you until you figure out what it is about you that you aren't looking at, that you aren't seeing, that you aren't healing. And being able to see those things and heal it and do it, there's no guidebook. I honestly feel like I'm kind of, somebody described it to me the other day as like, you're on the yellow brick road. So like, can't tell you what's there, but our theme, today's theme, if Jesus is your guy, Jesus is your guy. He's not my guy, but I'm glad to be learning more about him. And for me, it is about that direct connection to faith, that I don't need a guidebook. I don't need to know how to heal. As you mentioned, therapy to me is an incredibly valuable tool. During this phase in my life, I have signed up for therapy twice a week, and I've never in my life signed up for therapy twice a week. And it's not that what I'm going through right now is just that difficult that I feel like it requires that, but it's really more like I'm committed to the work itself, the healing work that I'm doing. It's a demonstration of the level of my commitment and attention to that healing and self-care. And during this phase, it feels like the right thing for me.
yeah. And I just when you were piggybacking off of what you said, somebody told you like this life is like, going down a yellow brick road. Something I've had to tell myself, like sometimes you have to nurture your inner child and like talk to yourself like how you would have wanted somebody to talk to you as a little child. I had to tell myself sometimes, this is your first time going through this life. This is your first time going through this experience. It is okay. You are learning as you go, okay? As long as you still have air in your lungs, there is another opportunity for you to be wiser as you move forward. So I want everybody to think about that as we move forward. This is your first time going through this life. There's going to be bumps and hiccups. Don't be hard on ourselves.
Make
Shout out
peace
to
with
you
your
for therapy. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and making peace with your inner shit talker.
Mhm.
I'll say right now at unitedlife.org, I'm starting up a virtual making peace with your inner shit talker program super soon. And the whole idea behind this program, it's a 90-day program that is dedicated to looking to asking yourself these questions, to carving out that designated space, whether it is 5 minutes just to listen to the song of the day, whatever it may be. I'm starting up a virtual group. So wherever you are, everything I do is generally has a pay what you can option, so that there are no limitations based on what people got going on financially.
Oh, what
Any
day and
last
time is
thoughts
this
before
for
we pray out, be lovely?
yeah, what day and time is this
Thank
program
you
for
for
anybody
asking.
that's interested?
Tuesdays at Tuesdays at 6 Pacific, 8 p.m. Central.
8 p.m. Central. Okay, and go to
Yes.
unitedlife.org to sign up.
Unitedlife.org. Yes.
Okay, thank you, Rev Casey Taylor. Before we go, I just want to just reiterate, this is your first time going through this life. Don't be hard on yourself. Be gentle with yourself. Everything that we're going through, it is a learning lesson that we can use to help us to make wiser decisions. And it's okay to dip into your toolkit, whether it's affirmations, therapy, meditation, breathing, journaling, um, rage, anger. Letting out anger is a good way to do, to help yourself. Don't be afraid to do those things because your mental health is
Beautiful.
super important.
Yes. Let me pray us out in 5 seconds. I love that. Be lovely off stage said, I'm going to pray the way I pray. And I appreciate praying the way that we pray. And so I invite us to call in the God of our own understanding, the God that our own understanding, maybe it's a someone else, something else, some other word, source, spirit, whatever it is, recognizing that we have been brought to this episode by divine appointment and that each one of us has experienced whatever we were meant to be experienced. I'm grateful to know it, to declare it, embrace it, and celebrate it. And I invite us to close this prayer however we are most comfortable. I choose to close by saying, and so it is, have the best day ever.
Amen. Thank you, Rev Casey Taylor.